Hello everyone, thank you very much for taking time to tune in. Today we're going to talk about a very important issue that is happening in the world of teenagers. We're going to talk about teen relationships. At Peace Tree we have a youth empowerment program, and we meet a lot of teenagers and youth who come to us with many challenges that they face. And one of the biggest challenges that we have been seeing in the past few years is the relationship challenge in teenagers. And we are not even talking about high school students here. We're talking about people who are even not in the middle school. So you're talking about people who are like 11, 12, 13s, who are already getting into relationships, and then they go through severe mental and emotional turmoil to the extent that they get suicidal. This is real, my friends. And I'm being a witness to many of such teenagers who come to us, and we've been providing a lot of support and help through our programs and helping them get back to their life. Let's try to understand what is the root cause of this problem and how we can help all the teenagers across the globe so that they can lead a happy, healthy, and productive life. So one of the biggest challenges is the way we are made. So it's very important to understand our biology, how our brains work before we judge anyone, right? So we've talked about this in the past, but I'm going to reiterate. Our brain, if you imagine our brain, which is like this, there is a bottom portion of the brain which is called the brain stem. There is a center portion of the brain called the limbic system, or the emotional part, and then the top portion is the prefrontal cortex. So if you imagine putting your brain like this is what it is. Now, the bottom portion is the survival part. This is the basic instinct, survival mechanisms, feeding, aggression, survival instincts. And then the second part is called the limbic system, or the emotional system. And this is the part of the brain which is very dominant in teenagers. In fact, the top portion, which is called the prefrontal cortex, is not fully developed. In fact, the development of the prefrontal cortex takes a while, almost into your 20s or even early 30s. So your brain, especially in the teenager, has a very less developed prefrontal cortex. Now, these are the two important parts of the brain which we need to talk about, especially related to the challenges that most of the teenagers are going through. This part of the brain, which is called the emotional part, has an important part of the brain called amygdala. Amygdala is responsible for the reactive emotional responses that we see in most of the teenagers. There is not much thought, there is not much logic to the actions that they do, because this part of the brain is fully developed almost, and then this part of the brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex, is not developed fully yet. And prefrontal cortex is in fact responsible for decision making, discrimination between right or wrong, pausing before you make a decision, that willpower with which you can change your decision making. All of these are not fully developed. So in teenage, the brain which is predominantly active is this part of the brain. Now, that is one of the reasons why we see most of the teenagers who are very, very instinctual, very aggressive, very reactive, very emotional in the responses that they have. And also, their instincts is what leads them to, this instinctual behavior is what leads them to get into these relationships very early on, even though your brain is not fully mature. Now, what is happening also is that your brain is very sensitive to this neurotransmitter called dopamine. It is very sensitive, especially in the teenage, which results in giving that pleasure, the sense of pleasure feeling is what you get from the dopamine. So teen brains are more sensitive for dopamine. So naturally, they're seeking for that feeling of pleasure, which they get, of course, from that initial crushes and that kind of romantic feeling that they have to fall into a relationship. But we know that the brain is not fully developed yet, and it's still not stable yet enough to actually maintain and sustain a relationship. And of course, that's why you see people not liking each other for more than a few days, few weeks, or few months. You hardly see a teen relationship that lasts for a lifetime. Very few. There might be exceptions, your high school love turning into your, life partner and living through rest of your life. Of course, you see that in these beautiful films out there, and it all paints this illusionary, delusionary picture which traps most of the teenagers, and they think, yes, I found the one, this is the one I'm going to lead rest of my life with. But then after a few weeks, you see this person saying, no, this is not the one for me. So the one that starts with this deep love, the deep crush, oh my God, you are the one, you start hugging, kissing, doing all kinds of things. But then, boom, you can't stand each other after a week or a few days. And I've been a witness to many of these cases. I'm not talking from some illusionary state making up things. I've been a witness to all of these things happening. We have youth coming to us, and the only reason and concern of me doing this video is to help all the teenagers out there who are going through a lot of chaos and turmoil. And because they get upset very quickly, because their emotional graph is going like this, almost like a roller coaster ride, a moment of pleasure and a moment of pain, pleasure and pain. So this is actually not good for your mental health as well, because there is very high susceptibility of mental illness during teenage. A lot of anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, ADHD, schizophrenia including. And again, I've worked on a lot of these cases, witnessing a lot of youth going through these challenges at a very early age. So your brain is already susceptible for these mental illnesses and disorders. Now you're adding fuel to the fire. You are adding an element of this teen relationships which take you down a path of very, very, very derailed mental illness. So my friends, please remember, your biology is not yet ready to actually handle a full-blown relationship, because what happens is these people can't stand each other after a few days, few weeks, because they find all these negative things, these stuff they don't like with each other, and then instantly they're judging and reacting, and then somebody else is judging you. You're like, oh no, you're very controlling, you're very sarcastic, you're very narcissistic, you're this, you're that. And then they take aback, because there is first time this whole criticism is coming from the person whom you thought that is the one you love for life. And then you start to see this criticism going back and forth, and you end up dwelling in that negativity, that criticism, day after day, moment after moment. And I see these teenagers spending hours and hours, and of course adding even more fuel to the fire is the devices and social media. People are posting stuff about each other, writing about stuff about each other on social media, and of course that brings another layer where your friends and your network, everyone is coming in and everyone's watching this whole drama unfolding live in front of you. In good old days, of course, you would have met this person at a school, or at a concert, or wherever, like in a family gathering or with friends. But now you are constantly connected 24/7 through this texting, through these Snapchats, through these Instagrams. And I've seen people even going like live on the social media and talking about these things, people coming together. Now the teenagers also have a tendency of talking this out to all these other friends. Now these other friends are pouring their input, they are criticizing, they are giving their feedback. So I'm sorry to say this, but the half-baked brains are coming together to cook a meal, to bake something, but you're never going to end up doing that, because your nervous system is not yet fully ready for this. Sorry if I'm getting to you straight into your minds, but this is exactly your biology. You can Google it, you can do research on your own. Your brains are half-baked and not fully developed yet, my friends. With those half-baked brains, you're trying to give a picture of entire life. I mean, look at your own parents, your friends, elders, adults in your own life. How difficult is a relationship with adults? You see that with your parents. It takes like years to build that strong bonding, that understanding, that patience, that perseverance, that acceptance. These are some of the underlying factors, important foundations in a relationship. But Unfortunately, a teenager lacks all of these because it's not you, it's your brains which are not fully developed yet. So you don't have the patience, you don't have the ability to understand, you're very reactive, you're very emotional because your limbic system is what's dictating your life. Now with that, you're getting into a relationship, what are you going to get? An instinctive, reactive, emotional, hyperventilated relationship. You're never going to get a relationship that you see in the movies, which is made from the prefrontal cortex, which is about understanding, acceptance, patience, perseverance, all of these things, forgiveness. But a teenager is not able to do all of this. So you now understand the challenges, why you go through these challenges. Now we're going to focus quickly on some solutions. What is teenage? Your focus is on your school, your education. You're trying to build up the knowledge, wisdom from studying, from understanding different aspects of the social sciences, engineering, technology, art. So many things you're putting yourself into. And then you're trying to specialize in them. You're getting into the university, you have a purpose, you've figured out this is what I want to do rest of my life, this is the career I want to have. Instead of focusing on that, now you're putting all your energy and draining it into something which is not even understood very well. And I see this. I see people going through this day in, day out, people going through 911, ending up in psychiatric wards, staying there. Do you see how much plight parents have to go through this? The parents who truly love and care for you have to now go through this whole roller coaster ride because you do not understand how to handle emotions and relationships. So instead of focusing on career, instead of making it to where you want to make it to in life, you're now focusing on trying to patch, trying to fix these relationships. And I see these breakups happening day in, day out in teenagers because you don't understand, you don't know yourself, and you're trying to understand somebody else. How ridiculous is that? Right? So first, understand yourself. That's the first step. Focus on yourself. Give that confidence, self-esteem. Build that confidence and self-esteem from within. At our Peace Tree, we do so many programs for youth, and whoever has come and done these programs have benefited in a phenomenal way because they have found ways to love themselves first. Instead of going and trying to find love from somebody else, find that self-love. Take care of this mind. Like I always say, teenage mind is like this growing plant, and you need a gardener to tame it, to train it, to nurture it, to trim it and make it grow in a beautiful way. It's in your hands. The experiences that you give, the environments that you put yourself into is what shapes your brain, what shapes your thought processes, what shapes your neural networks. So it is important to make sure you nurture your brain in the environments and situations and scenarios where it is blossoming, not going into depression. I hear so many teenagers come to me and say, oh, I'm in depression, I'm anxiety, this is normal for me. It is not normal, dears. You are putting yourself through this and you don't need to. You deserve a better life. You deserve a beautiful life. You have phenomenal potential in you. You don't understand. Trillions of cells in your body. Your thought processes, creative, innovative thought processes. Use your fearlessness for something productive. Use your fearlessness and bravery to create the life that you wanted to create, the career, the purpose. You wanted to make it a big leader, into a doctor, a scientist, an artist, whatever you are, whatever you want to. But you need to know how to channel that energy. But unfortunately, you are draining that energy into gutter, day in, day out. Waking up day after day, night after night, trying to fix and patch this relationship which is not going anywhere. Instead, take care of this precious resource, your body and mind, which is so powerful, through which you can create the life you want. So self-care is the most important thing that you can do. Now, coming to the relationships itself, I'm not against building relationships, but build good friendships. Build people and network around you who are trustworthy, who are honest, who are caring, who will be there to stand for you when you are having a difficult day, who are able to inspire you to reveal your potential. These are the building relationships that you need to nurture. Not the relationships just in the name of crush, just that you're attracted to someone, just that someone looks very beautiful, someone looks very sexy, or someone looks very muscular. Don't fall for these temporary things, my dears. Understand to build relationships with people who really nurture your potential, who are there and saying, hey, go and get what you want to get in your life. Achieve that goal. Give yourself for the benefit of yourself and the society. So many youth volunteer for great things. Use your time to volunteer for great organizations that are helping with so many challenges that we have in the society today. Instead, all that you're doing is waking up till 1 and 2 a.m. in the nights and getting up late in the morning. Where are you draining, my friends? You're draining all that into the gutter. So build those relationships that will make you into a better version of yourself. You are in charge of your life. Don't think anxiety and depression are a norm of the life. No, they are not. You are putting yourself through that. You are abusing your devices. You are abusing your social media. You are falling into these delusional relationships and crushes. Instead, build a relationship with yourself. Know yourself, because you probably have already seen this. So many people may have come into your life and left, criticizing you, putting you down. Are you worth that? No, you are worth more than that. Your potential is phenomenal. If you have questions, email us, meditate@peacetree.ca. Get in touch with us, peacetree.ca, because teenage is such a powerful age and we are there to help you to find your potential, your purpose, so that you can channel your energy for doing phenomenal things. Thank you very much for taking time to tune in, and we look forward to continue presenting great topics so that you can be at your top of your potential and realizing your purpose and achieve great results in your life. Take care.